In a tense, widely shared moment on live television, conservative commentator Charlie Kirk confronted Whoopi Goldberg with pointed arguments that appeared to leave her momentarily speechless. The interaction has sparked a tidal wave of online reactions, prompting questions about media theater, ideological confrontation, and the power dynamics of public discourse. Today, we dissect the episode. Who said what? The context behind the clash, and the broader implications for high-stakes cultural conversations in modern media spaces. Whoopi Goldberg, born Karen Elaine Johnson in 1955 in New York City, is a prominent figure in American media and entertainment. With an illustrious career spanning decades, she has earned her place in cultural history as an actor, comedian, and political commentator. Notably, she is one of only 19 people to achieve EGOT status, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Goldberg became the moderator of The View in 2007, a platform from which she frequently addresses political, social, and cultural issues. Her role as moderator has positioned her as a leading voice in daytime television, shaping the discourse through both personal insight and on-air debate. Over her tenure, Goldberg has been no stranger to controversy. She has defended individuals, like Michael Vick and Mel Gibson, occasionally drawing backlash for her remarks. In 2022, she made headlines when she described the Holocaust as not about race, but about man's inhumanity to man, sparking significant criticism and leading to a 2-week suspension from The View. Despite such controversies, Goldberg continues to be seen as a passionate and influential voice within political and cultural dialogue. Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, is a conservative activist and founder of Turning Point USA, a youth-led conservative advocacy group. He has risen to national prominence as a political commentator and provocateur, often appearing on media platforms to challenge liberal figures and viewpoints. Kirk's rhetorical style is assertive and confrontational, with a focus on conservative principles such as limited government, free markets, and traditional social values. His clashes with liberal hosts and commentators have become part of his rising public profile. This public confrontation occurred on The View's live broadcast last week, during a special segment featuring Charlie Kirk and, according to some edited posts, another right-leaning commentator. The conversation reportedly centered on divisive issues, perhaps culture, politics, and media credibility, prompting Kirk to deliver sharp critiques aimed directly at Goldberg's prior statements or stances on recent events. Social media amplifier channels swiftly captured the moment, and within hours the clip was trending across platforms. Public reaction was immediate. Conservative content creators labeled it a slaying or destroying of Goldberg, while many on the left defended her composure and questioned the fairness of the attack. One viral edit framed it as a moment when Goldberg couldn't respond, while others contextualized it as part of an ongoing media tactic of confrontation-driven soundbites. Across this digital flashpoint, journalists, commentators, and ordinary viewers weighed in, igniting debates over civility, media framing, and the ethics of aggressive discourse. To understand this moment's significance, one must step back and look at The View's format, a mix of cultural commentary and political debate anchored by diverse personalities. Goldberg, as moderator, mediates, but also participates in ideological sparring. In contrast, Kirk's inclusion often signals an intent to push hot-button issues to the surface. Their ideological divide, liberal versus conservative, insider journalist versus provocateur, has been brewing ever since Kirk first appeared on the show, making this episode an explosive culmination of long-standing tensions. Crucially, the broader media landscape plays a role. In an era of streaming, digital distribution, and content monetization based on provocation, clips like this spread rapidly. Edit rooms and repost culture amplify and simplify moments, often reducing complex discussions to a dramatic snippet. In this case, Goldberg's apparent breakdown. Understanding the road from studio to smartphone screen is essential to grasp both the moment's power and its distortions. Historically, The View has seen its share of viral moments, from the Rosie O'Donnell era to debates over Trump, race, and culture. Each conflict is woven into the fabric of televised culture. Wars. Comparing those instances to today's viral moment reveals both continuity and escalation, a sharpened tactic of surprise confrontation paired with real-time media reaction. In many ways, the exchange between Goldberg and Kirk is emblematic of the current moment, Polarization heightened by platform-driven sensationalism. The studio, the set, the hot mic, the editor's cut, each plays a role in manufacturing viral media. To evaluate the event properly, we must look beyond the headlines to the motives, the context, and the after effects on this well-worn battlefield known as live TV. This background forms the foundation for understanding the next act, the substance of the exchange, the arguments presented, the emotional moment, and why Goldberg appeared unable to respond. In the next section, we unpack the dialogue point by point, analyzing who said what, when, and why it resonated widely amid today's climate of ideological skirmish and media spectacle. The clip opens mid-discussion, with Goldberg asking Kirk to clarify his position, likely about a policy or a recent public statement. Kirk enters with a measured but firm tone, prefacing, "If what you've said is true, then it's not just media spin, it's fundamentally misleading." His early delivery is calm yet laced with pressure, precise language, measured volume, and cutting calmness. The tech-savvy editing ensures the moment's impact. Isolated, punctuated, and ready for reaction. Kirk proceeds to present his core argument, a critique of liberal media framing, presumably targeting what he perceives as intellectual dishonesty or bias. He cites data or a recent media segment. The numbers don't align. The editing suggests a strong rhetorical approach, though the actual policy subject remains partially obscured. Goldberg listens, shifting slightly, her facial expression tightening, a nonverbal cue signaling unease or uncertainty. As Kirk continues, he escalates. "That's not just wrong, it's dangerous," stating that such framing biases public debate by shaping narratives without scrutiny. His delivery remains textbook debate, calm but assertive, factual but pointed. Goldberg attempts a response. I'm saying... Yet the clip sharply zooms to her falter, creating the viral impression she's lost in the moment. The cut edges off her words, leaving the illusion of speechlessness. Viewers react. Conservatives cheer about destroying the liberal icon, titling the clip accordingly. Liberals criticize the aggressive format. Contextual viewers point out it may be a playback of a bigger conversation, with Goldberg perhaps interrupted or cut off by production. The clip's power is in the void, what isn't said. The cut cuts deeper than words. We now reconstruct the fuller episode. According to platform commentary, Goldberg had earlier defended The View's editorial line on an issue Kirk contested, framing it as moral, inclusive, or progressive. Kirk directly challenged this framing, suggesting it overlooked counter-evidence or normalized a biased viewpoint. The clash was not over mere opinion, but over diverging interpretations of fact. Goldberg tries to regain control. "Let me rephrase. What I meant was..." However, the live TV pace and editing room cuts leave her off balance. She voices a general statement about context and nuance, but Kirk seizes the momentum to press again. That's precisely the problem. Context without accountability is spin. Tension heightens. Audience laughter subsides. Co-hosts remain silent as they really grasp the dynamic. Goldberg's voice wavers. Kirk's tone remains steady and calm. The juxtaposition is palpable. One measured deliverer of policy critique versus a seasoned moderator whose footing is slipping. The punctuation point. The camera lingers on Goldberg viscerally, a human emotional beat that defines the moment. Once again, sections of the live show are intercut with reaction shots from co-hosts and studio staff, reinforcing that something dramatic is unfolding. It's part rhetorical boxing match, part emotional performance. Technology and editing have crystallized the moment into a viral hinge. Immediately after Kirk finishes, the segment cuts. Goldberg does not rebut. On The View, however, she likely resumed her moderator role, referencing points and transitioning to another topic. But the snippet reverberates on social platforms as a self-contained narrative. Confrontation, control, collapse. What makes this moment compelling is its structure. It follows the classic media arc of challenge, disruption, emotional reveal. We are left asking, did Goldberg break down, or was she temporarily disarmed? Did Kirk score a triumph or merely benefit from a tight edit? In unpacking the real event, we must consider the full episode, not just what was clipped and shared. The clip quickly amplified across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and conservative news sites. Headlines read, "Whoopi frozen by facts," "Kirk leaves her speechless," and "Look what he just said." Conservative channels celebrated it as symbolic of what they call the Beltway echo chamber being challenged. Many user comments included praise for Kirk's poise and criticism of Goldberg's response. Vigilantly, conservative feedback loops reframed the encounter as a seismic cultural moment. In parallel, liberal media saw a different take. Multiple opinion writers cautioned against judging Goldberg by her clipped pause, emphasizing that live debate is messy. That rhetorical silence doesn't indicate collapse. Some argued the framing of breaking down was manufactured, and that the fuller context would show Goldberg adapting and moving forward. Outlets noted that the viral video served more to stoke tribal narratives than actual dialogue. Several journalists reached out to the View producers for comment. A source reportedly said the segment was edited for time constraints, that Goldberg had planned to respond before the show moved on. She later tweeted a gif of herself regaining composure, though did not address Kirk specifically by name. The production team emphasized the fast-paced nature of live programming. The clip does not reflect the full truth of how the show proceeded post-interruption. Charlie Kirk's own response was swift. On his network, he posted the clip with the caption, "Fact-checking meltdown." He described the moment as truth-exposing ideological narrative. In subsequent podcasts, he amplified it as further proof that mainstream media fears conservative argument. Kirk thanked co-hosts and the production team for letting him speak without interruption, stressing that this was a test of his calmness under scrutiny. Among liberal commentators, the clip was dissected from a media literacy perspective. One pointed out, "Notice how the narrative was constructed, not from what was said, but from what wasn't said." Critics argued that viral clips are a modern weapon. Editing packages that frame opponents as unprepared or defeated, even when the fuller reality is more nuanced. Public polling via social media sentiment tools showed a near-even split. Conservatives largely liked, retweeted the clip. Liberals shared critical commentary. Influential voices, from academic experts to media watchers, raised questions. Was The View complicit in a momentum-chasing edit? Or did Kirk simply demonstrate preparedness and presence? Was Goldberg genuinely rattled or performing a moment of thoughtful pause? Guest panelists on other shows weighed in. One TV news anchor suggested this was emblematic of conservative voices gaining ground in liberal spaces, reflective of shifting power dynamics in media. Others posited that what looked like collapse might have been tactical, a pivot to next guest segments. The result: polarized interpretations anchored in prior assumptions, rather than a shared understanding of what happened. Goldberg herself later alluded to the moment on social media, describing it as a momentary pause while I collected myself. She posted a brief thread about the importance of listening. However, she did not engage in a direct debate with Kirk after the show, maintaining she would rather address substance than headlines. Media scholars point to this clip as part of a broader trend, snippet journalism. By focusing on emotionally charged beats, networks and platforms can drive engagement, but risk distorting context. The framing of breaking down taps a common narrative. Liberal elites under pressure from conservative argument. This fits a long-standing media template designed to confirm audience biases. Debate experts note that the format stacked the deck. A seasoned debater, Kirk, versus a moderator, Goldberg. The roles encourage different approaches. One seeks to persuade, the other to mediate. When one slips into a debate posture and the other is drawn into rebuttal, there's instability. That instability becomes visibility, and visibility becomes virality. Strategic communication analysts emphasize the value of narrative control. Kirk's calm, controlled answers contrasted sharply with Goldberg's less clean soundbite. The result: an image of authority versus emotional fragility. Public interpretation quickly aligned with that narrative. Proof that in live debate, emotional steadiness is often perceived as intellectual superiority. Psychologists studying persuasion note that emotional poise under pressure can be a persuasive tool. Audiences often equate composure with competence. Goldberg's brief hesitance, without explanation, allowed opponents to frame the narrative. An honest clarification, about context or intent, might have disarmed the viral moment. Instead, silence was interpreted as concession. Still, Scholars remind us of the counterweight. Goldberg's willingness to pause may reflect intentional reflection, responding publicly only after careful thought. That approach, though less sensational, grounds discourse in deliberation. The clash between immediacy and reflection is foundational to democratic debate. Which side carries the day depends on public appetite, for drama or for reflection. Looking ahead, media watchers predict more staged confrontations. Political operatives and showrunners will continue inserting hot-button commentators to provoke viral moments. Meanwhile, audiences increasingly consume isolated clips instead of full episodes. The implication: public opinion may skew toward the moment rather than engage broader reasoning. The stakes extend to trust, credibility, and polarization. For Goldberg, the event is a test of resilience. As moderator of a major daytime show, she must balance persona and challenge. How she addresses this moment, publicly, privately, through tone, may define her legacy. Indeed, a follow-up appearance, measured comments, or a clarifying op-ed could shift public framing. For Kirk, the exchange is an opportunity to demonstrate that conservatives can prevail in traditionally liberal spaces. His measured delivery reinforces his brand of intellectual discipline. The moment may translate into media cachet, more invitations, bigger platforms, and broader reach. It underscores the power of performance in political influence. In terms of media ethics, this raises questions about live editing, consent, and responsibility. Should producers include rebuttals in viral clips, even at risk of reducing clicks? Should networks proactively provide context? Platforms like YouTube and TikTok will have to balance engagement with fairness. Meanwhile, influencers will manipulate the same tectonics, perhaps adding disclaimers or context in follow-up content. Ultimately, this encounter symbolizes the media moment in 2025, where ideological friction, broadcast norms, and platform logic collide. It's not just Goldberg and Kirk, but the architecture of communication. Rapid, punchy, often shallow, yet emotionally resonant. The long-term impact will unfold in how public discourse evolves, whether toward snap judgments or toward renewed depth. What looked like a dramatic confrontation was more layered, a collision of debate styles, editorial choices, and public interpretation. The viral clip tells a story, but the full episode adds nuance. If you found this breakdown insightful, please subscribe for more in-depth analysis of media moments and ideological clashes. Hit the bell to stay updated, and share your view in the comments. Was this moment a true breakdown, or a scripted confluence of broadcast and platform culture?